What's going on, everybody? I made a video in a while. It's like 47 days till college football kicks off, and I am super excited, super pumped for college football and for Alabama. Alabama coming off a national title. Nick Saban's fifth in 9 years. Alabama's fifth in 9 years, and his sixth overall. I think he cemented himself as the greatest college football coach of all time. Of course, that's going to be debatable, especially among Alabama fans, with Bear Bryant being the icon that he is. But in my lifetime, especially, Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach of all time. Um, say what you want to. I mean, he's the greatest college football coach today, bar none. You can't debate that. There's some good ones out there, but he's the best, and it's not really even close. He can recruit well. He coaches well. That's the two aspects that not all these coaches have. Some are great at one and not as so good at the other, or vice versa. He's great at every facet of his job. So that's it. That's it on Nick Saban. Nick Saban's the greatest living college football coach of all time, or greatest living or dead college football coach of all time. I don't care what you want to say. Period. End of story. That being said, Alabama coming off of another national title win. Georgia was definitely game. I didn't see them going to a national title or even the playoff at this time last year. It's amazing what Kirby Smart has done since he's been there, from year one to year two, and now going in with this number one recruiting class. He's done wonders at Georgia. He's a Georgia boy. He's coaching where he should be. He did great things at Alabama, and I wish nothing but the best for him. He won 4 national titles with Nick Saban as the defensive coordinator, and I have no doubt that eventually he's going to win some national titles, 1 or 2, 3, or however many it proves to be in the next 15 to 20 years at Georgia. He's a Georgia boy. I don't see him going anywhere for a long time. I don't think he's going to be comfortable at any other position than where he's at right now. But back to Alabama, they get the win. Nick Saban makes the ballsy move at halftime to put Tua in, and it proves to be the deciding factor in the national title game. Before that, Jalen. The problem with Jalen, yes, 26-2 as a starter. A lot of that was with his ability with his legs. He's going to be more mobile than Tua, although Tua can run the ball. The problem is, I'm not saying that Jalen has regressed as a passer, but he's just never progressed as a passer. And it proved, crucial down the stretch. In games where you had to have big passes, you just couldn't make them. Defensively, really had to hold up against some teams, especially like in the playoff, like Clemson, and especially Georgia. He couldn't do anything against that Georgia defense, and that's why Saban had to pull. He had to pull him. There wasn't no getting around it. I think it was the right thing to do. I wouldn't be sitting here saying, "Hey, Alabama's got another national title," if Saban didn't make that move. I think that's what happened. In the year before that, Jalen couldn't make the passes. I'm not knocking Jalen Hurts. The kid is great. The kid is he's a 5-star athlete, but with his legs. He's not a 5-star athlete with his arm. He's got a strong arm, but he is not accurate. He overthrows, he underthrows, and that proves costly when you're playing at a college like Alabama, at a university like Alabama. I'm sorry, but the best of the best rises to the top, and I don't know how Nick Saban's going to go about that this year. My opinion is Tua should start. But if Jalen starts, I'm not going to be upset with it. They play Louisville. Honestly, you could leave Jalen in, and we could still probably run the table. I'm not saying we could win every single game. There's only been one undefeated team under Nick Saban. We've always had a loss. A couple of Ole Miss losses. I had the loss against Auburn last year, which was terrible, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute. But we've come back and won national titles. It's always possible. So going this year, I'm just going to give you a rundown of everything I think is going to happen, my predictions, all position groups and everything. I think Tua will eventually become the starter. I think Jalen might start the year against Louisville. I think both quarterbacks will see playing time first 3 or 4 games because Louisville is not they're nowhere near where they should be without Lamar Jackson. Then we play Arkansas State, and then we play Ole Miss. I think those 3 games you're going to see a lot of playing time between both of them, and I think Tua is going to cement himself as the better quarterback, and I think he'll carry it the rest of the way. I could be totally wrong. I really don't know. I don't know. I can't get into Nick Saban's mind. I don't want to be in Nick Saban's mind. He's the greatest coach of all time. I can't question any of his decisions because they 99 out of 100 times have proven to be the right ones. So whatever his gut tells him to do, go for it. Whether that's Jalen, whether that's Tua. I personally would like to see Tua in there more, but whatever. If we ride with Jalen, we ride with Jalen. We ride with Tua, we ride with Tua. But otherwise, quarterback play is going to be crucial this year. And the progression of these freshman wide receivers, you've got great ones. 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever. Jerry Jeudy is primed to break out. He's a Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper type player, I think. Devontae Smith. I mean, he's a freshman and he had the game-winning catch in the national title game. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It can only downhill from here, right? Anyway, Henry Ruggs, touchdown machine every time he caught the ball. It seemed like he was in the end zone. I know some others I'm leaving out, but those are the 3 really that I think are going to have breakout huge years this year. Running back, as far as running back goes, I don't think there's a better stable of running backs than Alabama's in the whole country. It was debatable last year. Georgia probably had the better, I don't know. It was 1A, 1B to me, but I mean, Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb, it doesn't get much better than that. But this year, it doesn't get better. Damian Harris has been, I think he was Alabama's best offensive player last year. I don't think Bo Scarborough had the career that his potential. I don't think he lived up to the potential that he had. He got injured in the championship game a few years ago against Clemson. I don't know if he ever recovered from that broken leg. I know he'll do great in the NFL. I'm sure he will. But I don't think he lived up to the expectations that he had at Alabama, although he did still have a solid career. I think he had higher expectations, and probably the ceiling was a little bit higher than it should have been. But anyway, back to our running backs this year. Damian Harris is poised to have another 1,000-yard season. He may be the best running back in the SEC. I don't know. That's debatable. When he first came to Alabama, it didn't seem like he had the durability. He had the speed, but not the durability. But, man, last year he proved me wrong. I was more excited about Bo Scarborough, but, man, Damian Harris was the workhorse of that offense last year, along with the offensive line. But, man, when we needed some yards, Damian Harris got them. Josh Jacobs is more of a halfback type player. He can line up in the slot, but he can get the tough yards as well. He's a bruiser, but he's also got some speed, some agility, some quickness. You can get out there on the perimeter and make your linebackers and your secondary look silly. So he's great too. Najee Harris. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. You saw what he did he was the number 1 recruit coming out last year at running back, and he's going to be hard to keep off the field. And I think there's going to be enough carries. They're going to be a running team this year, no doubt about it. They're so loaded on the offensive side of the ball that it's ridiculous. All those receivers coming back that were just freshmen last year, a guy like Damian Harris that could have gone to the NFL, probably been, second round draft pick. I don't think he would have gone in the first round, but second, third round draft, but come back for his senior year because he wants more at Alabama. That speaks volumes, not just for the Alabama football program and Nick Saban, but for Damian Harris, that he's still hungry enough that he wants to come back for his senior year and finish it off the right way. Even among all those great running backs, this guy is a mentor, has to be a mentor to young guys like Najee Harris and Brian Robinson sitting there. There's just so much talent on that side of the ball. It's going to be hard to stop the Alabama offense if you're, as long as the offensive line gels, which I think they will. Jonah Williams coming back is probably going to be the anchor of that offensive line. Bradley Bozeman, a couple other guys. Defensively, the defensive line I think is going to be as good as anybody else in college football. I know everybody's high on Clemson's NFL defensive line. They probably will be the best line, and they're going to be hard to beat. And even Auburn, their defensive line I can't even lie about it, is pretty good. But I think Alabama is going to be proven to be as good as anybody else is in the country. Got some great talent there. Raekwon Davis, I think, is ready to have a huge year. Isaiah Buggs, I think, is ready to have a huge year. Those guys are going to be key to get into the quarterback on the other side of the ball. They're going to be key because it lost some players. Lost Terrell Lewis to an ACL injury. Lost Vandarius Cowan to a bar incident, which that was dumb, but is what it is. Kicked off the team. So he lost a little bit of depth there at linebacker, but they're still going to be solid there. Players like Anthony Jennings and Dylan Moses. Still going to be a great linebacking core. I'm guessing Dylan Moses is probably going to be the quarterback of the defense this year. We'll see. Time will tell. But he's a 5-star coming in. Got a lot of playing time last year. Mack Wilson probably is going to be right there also. I don't know who's going to be calling plays on the defensive side of the ball, but either one of those players is more than capable, I'm sure. Our secondary going to be young. Losing players like Ronnie Harrison, Minkah Fitzpatrick, it's going to be hard to replace players of that caliber. But if anybody can do it, it's Nick Saban. I mean, he brought in some great assistant coaches, even though some left. He just keeps restocking, not only players, but coaches too, man. He gets the most out of everybody. It boggles my mind what Nick Saban is able to do year after year. How he still has the drive and the focus and the will to keep doing what he does, because he just keeps restocking every year. 5-star, 4-star, even 2-star guys, he gets the most out of them. Doesn't matter. Alabama's going to get players that aren't 5-stars every single time, but I swear to God, Nick Saban seems like he turns them into 5-stars by the time they leave college. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Levi Wallace last year. Case in point, Levi Wallace is probably going to be playing on Sundays now, and he walked on at Alabama. That's insane. He became one of the best cornerbacks in the SEC last year, and he walked on at Alabama. That tells you what Nick Saban can do for your program, man. And he's going to have to do it again, because this secondary is very young. Not much depth coming back. Like I said, losing Ronnie Harrison, losing Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's going to be huge that the front three or four, I guess front three, get to the quarterback. They're going to have great defensive line play. But I think the secondary will be gelling by the time, because Louisville's not going to light them up. Arkansas State's not going to light them up. Ole Miss is not going to be lighting them up. Then we play Louisiana Lafayette. So 4 games right off the bat that the secondary has time to gel before we really get to any SEC play. Ole Miss, no offense to you, but you're not really playing for anything at this point. And I don't think that you're going to be able to hold up. But this secondary, I think, is going to be a gelling by the time they need to. Because there's going to be times down the stretch where we need them. Quarterbacks like Drew Lock, quarterbacks like Nick Fitzgerald, quarterbacks like Jarrett Stidham. As much as I hate to say it, they're going to have to be ready. Luckily, those games are pretty much on the back end of our schedule, and I think they'll be gelling by then. I'm 100% sure that we'll be undefeated. You're going against, I'm not sure, but we'll be undefeated by the time that we start playing those guys. Iron Bowl, obviously, last game of the year. Mississippi State, I think, is probably on closer to the back end of our schedule. But by then, we should be rolling right along. Secondary should be gelling. Defensive line should be dominating. Offensively, we should be probably pounding ground and pound, sorry. And I honestly don't see a loss on our schedule. But you know what? It's hard to predict. It's probably going to come down to the Auburn game like it did last year. But you see what happened. The end result. Auburn went to the SEC championship and got reamed by Georgia. There ain't no other way around it. I'm not going to sit here and make mistakes. We got beat by the better team that day. I bore witness. That was my first Iron Bowl. I drove to Auburn from Middle Tennessee. 6 hours one way. My head tucked low, 6 hours back. Same day. I was tired of shit and got home at 2 o'clock in the morning and couldn't hardly sleep because I was so pissed off about the Auburn game. We played piss poor that day. We didn't play Alabama football. I don't know if I jinxed us. I don't know. I mean, obviously that's not really true, but we just had an off day that game, and somebody like Tua could have probably helped us out. You saw what happened in the national title game when Jalen wasn't performing. They brought Tua in, and he won us a national title. But anyway, I'm sorry this went so long. I didn't intend for it to go so long, but I'm excited about college football and Alabama, obviously, in particular, because I'm a huge Bama fan. Love Alabama. Love the university. I love University of Alabama athletics, period. I'm just ready for this season to get started. 47 days till Alabama and Louisville kick off. I don't really even know if there's any games before that. It's probably a Thursday night game, I'd say, and a Friday night game before that. But for my purposes, September 1st is what I'm circling against Louisville. Alabama gets that first victory. I just want to see them take that field this year. And it's all gravy from there. Leave your comments below. Appreciate you watching. That's what I think. Roll Tide.